The man placed his hand into the spring's water, and all of a sudden a huge torrent of water gushed out from the parched earth, leaving everyone there utterly astonished. It was believed that this enigmatic spring could bestow immortality. The instant a single drop of blood fell into the water, a peculiar current began swirling around Eddie. In the very next moment, a bolt of lightning struck his body. The water from the spring lifted him into the air, and when he looked down, he saw his palm glowing fiercely. Legend had it that anyone who drank from this spring would be granted the power of eternal life, but that power came at a cost. As Eddie gazed into the surface of the water, he suddenly saw the faces of his sister and brother. They were aging rapidly before his very eyes. Their faces were etched with pain and exhaustion, as though their very life force was being drained away. Realizing that gaining such power would cost the lives of those he loved, Eddie refused to drink from the spring. At that moment, something miraculous occurred. The water from the spring began to heal his wounds. To test this healing power, Jack fired several bullets at Eddie. But to everyone's astonishment, the spring's water instantly healed every injury on his body. Upon seeing this, Jack became extremely excited. The thought of possessing such power filled him with greed. As soon as a drop of his blood fell into the spring, the same transformation that had happened to Eddie began to happen to him as well. But when Jack looked into the water, he saw something different. He saw the reflection of the person he loved most, himself. If he drank the water, he would not gain immortality. Instead, he would begin to age rapidly. Yet Jack had already been blinded by his lust for power. Without a moment's thought, he drank the water from the spring. In the very next instant, an ancient curse befell him. His body began to age at an unnatural rate, twisting and transforming until he became a horrifying monster and eventually died. At the same time, the cave around them began to collapse. Yet somehow, Eddie and his family managed to escape from that terrifying place. This story begins with a boy named Luke who was on the run after stealing a valuable painting. A dangerous mafia gang is after him because they want to snatch that very painting from him. Luke manages to get away from them quite easily as he is riding a bike. Taking advantage of the bike's speed, he slips out of the gang's reach and eventually boards a train to make a safe escape. Once he's on the train, Luke finally relaxes and soon falls asleep. In his dream, he imagines himself as one of the world's most renowned archaeologists. In that dream, he has discovered a mysterious golden mask, a find that has made him extremely famous among leading archaeologists. The mask gleams brilliantly, and the intense glare from it suddenly wakes him up. When Luke opens his eyes, he notices a girl called Esme sitting in the seat directly in front of him. She calmly demands that Luke hand over the very painting he had stolen earlier. She also threatens him, saying that many of her men are on the train, and if he refuses to hand over the painting, they'll give him a good beating. Luke, however, isn't frightened. Instead, he lies to her, claiming that the monks sitting nearby are actually his associates. He warns her that if she and her men try to harm him, those monks will make them pay dearly. But Esme immediately realizes that Luke is bluffing. She pulls out a knife and points it straight at him. As soon as she does this, her thugs become alert and a fight breaks out. In the chaos, Esme manages to snatch the painting from Luke. Her men seize Luke and try to pin him down, but Luke is both skilled and quick. He fights back fiercely, beats up the thugs, breaks free from their hold, and swiftly snatches the painting back from Esme. After grabbing the painting again, Luke dashes out of the train compartment and climbs onto the roof of the moving train. A wild chase ensues as everyone runs after him. At one point during the escape, Luke is left hanging from a tower while the train keeps moving, creating an extremely dangerous situation as his pursuers continue to chase him. The story then shifts to another city where Luke's sister is introduced. She is currently embroiled in a legal battle with her husband over the custody of their son. Her personal life is already extremely stressful as she's in the midst of a divorce and fighting to secure the right to raise a child. One day, when she arrives at the museum where she works, she is stunned to find her brother Luke there. She hasn't seen him for years, so the reunion leaves her feeling very emotional. She tells Luke about everything that's been happening in her life, that she now has a son and that she's going through a divorce. However, while they're talking, Luke secretly steals a painting from the museum and suddenly bolts. It turns out that he never actually came to see his sister. His real intention was to steal that painting. This situation could land his sister in serious trouble as she's the head of the museum and the theft of such a valuable painting could ruin her career. Realizing the danger, she immediately chases after Luke to try and stop him. At the same time, alarms start blaring throughout the museum and the police are alerted. The police quickly begin to pursue Luke. During the chase, Luke tells his sister that if she comes with him, he'll give the painting back to her. With no other choice and hoping to sort things out, she gets into his car. Luke then drives the car into a lorry to hide from the police. Inside the lorry, they encounter several other archaeologists. These experts examine the painting closely and reveal something shocking. The painting Luke stole is actually a forgery. Hearing this news causes Luke's sister to panic. She realizes the whole situation has just got even worse. To deal with the situation, Luke knocks her out. The next day, when she comes to, she finds herself sitting in the entrance area of the museum with a painting in her hand. She quickly puts the painting back in the museum where it belongs. However, a number of police officers have already arrived to arrest Luke. They begin questioning Luke's sister in the hope of finding out where he is. She tells them that if she had known where Luke was, she might have gone with him. She also explains that there's no point chasing after Luke now, as the stolen painting has already been returned. Even though the painting has been returned, the damage is already done. The museum management blames her for the incident, and she ends up losing her job. This leaves her utterly devastated. When her husband finds out about this, he uses the situation against her. He deliberately refuses to let her see their son. Because of this, she realizes that the custody case is now much stronger in her husband's favor. This makes her feel extremely sad and helpless. Eventually, she decides to go to the address Luke had given her earlier. When she arrives, she finds Luke together with several archaeologists and a wealthy businessman. It is here that she discovers the truth about Luke's mission. Luke explains that he's searching for the legendary Fountain of Youth on behalf of that businessman. According to legend, the water from the Fountain of Youth possesses incredible powers. It can heal any illness and restore life. The reason the businessman wants to find it is because he is suffering from cancer and hopes the fountain's water can cure him. After hearing all this, Luke's sister tells him that their father was also one of the greatest archaeologists in the world. He possessed knowledge of many ancient mysteries, including the Fountain of Youth. Their father had once tried to find it but failed. Because of that, she believes the Fountain of Youth does not actually exist and is merely a legend people tell stories about. However, Luke refuses to accept that. He shows her the results of his research and explains that a secret group known as the Protector of Path has been working for centuries to keep the Fountain of Youth hidden from the world. This could be the reason their father was never able to find it. Luke also explains that some members of the Protector of Path believe the Fountain of Youth should be revealed to the world so that humanity could benefit from it. Because of this belief, they secretly concealed clues to the fountain's location within 6 very famous paintings. Luke and his team have already discovered 6 paintings containing these clues, but one important painting was still missing. At this point, Luke's sister reveals an important fact. She tells them that the painting which was in her museum was actually a fake. The real painting had sunk with a ship many years ago. Luke and the team ask her for help, but at first she refuses. She explains that the police are already searching for them, and she cannot risk getting caught up in another scandal because of her son. The businessman then makes her a tempting offer. He promises that if she helps them complete the mission, he will use his influence and money to ensure she wins custody of her son. After giving it some thought, she finally agrees. The whole team boards a ship and heads towards the spot where the old ship carrying the real painting had sunk deep underwater. Their first major challenge is to bring that sunken ship back to the surface. They attach giant cruise balloons to the wreck and fill them with air. Slowly, the enormous ship begins to rise from the depths of the ocean. Once the ship reaches the surface, Luke and his sister go inside to search for the painting. After searching for a long time inside the dark and damaged ship, they finally find the box containing the painting. But before they can escape with it, Esme and her entire team suddenly appear there. Esme's group immediately attacks her. Luke starts fighting the attackers while Esme captures Luke's sister and threatens to kill her. Luke calmly tells Esme that he knows she won't kill his sister because all she really wants is the painting. During the struggle, Luke's sister manages to grab Esme and throw her down. At the same time, the large cruise balloons keeping the ship afloat start bursting one after another. The ship begins to sink into the ocean again. Everyone is forced to jump into the water and swim desperately towards another ship nearby to save themselves. After they escape, Luke's sister becomes absolutely furious with him. She accuses Luke of caring more about saving a painting than saving his own sister. Sometime later, she receives some good news. Her ex-husband has accepted a new job in another country, which means their son will now be coming back to live with her. Meanwhile, Luke's team now has all the paintings needed to decode the clues leading to the Fountain of Youth. However, despite carefully studying the clues, they can't work out the exact location because the words don't seem to make any clear sense. Luke's sister then realizes something important. She explains that all the paintings are about 1,600 years old, and when the clues are put together correctly, they form the name of a particular king. According to her, they can find the path to the Fountain of Youth through that king's Bible. Before they can set off for their next destination, the same gangsters who were after them at the start of the film begin chasing them again. With them is a police officer who is determined to catch Luke and his team. Luke cleverly offers the officer a deal. He tells him that the officer is only interested in the valuable paintings, so he can keep all of them if he lets Luke's team go safely. At the same time, the gangsters also want the paintings. This results in a violent fight between the gangsters and the officer's men. While they are busy fighting each other, Luke and his team take advantage of the chaos and manage to escape successfully. Later, the story shows Luke and his team traveling by plane. During the flight, Luke dozes off again. In his dream, he finally discovers the Fountain of Youth and drinks its magical water. But as he drinks it, he sees something unsettling. His sister and her son are aging while he stays young. Witnessing this disturbing vision, Luke is left utterly devastated. In the dream, he immediately pours away the magical water, refusing to drink it. At that very moment, his eyes suddenly snap open and he wakes from the dream. When he looks ahead, he sees his sister sitting right in front of him. She smiles and jokingly tells him that he still talks too much, even when he's asleep and dreaming. After a while, Luke and his team arrive at a large library where they intend to search for the ancient Bible that might hold the final clue to the Fountain of Youth. Some of Luke's companions begin to carefully study the Bible, trying to understand every detail written within it. Meanwhile, Esme also turns up there again, secretly following Luke. In truth, Esme is actually a member of the mysterious organization known as the Protector of Path. This group exists to keep the Fountain of Youth hidden from the world. Because of this mission, Esme wants to stop Luke before he can reveal the secret of the fountain to everyone. Soon, a fight breaks out between Luke and Esme inside the library. During the fight, Esme even points a gun at him, but Luke quickly comes up with a way to escape. He ties a rope to his feet and suddenly leaps down from the upper floor of the building, using the rope to save himself. After escaping from Esme, Luke tells his companions that they must steal the Bible and leave the library at once. His companions quickly spray something into the librarian's nose to knock him out, and the whole group escapes from the library, taking the Bible with them. Later that night, Luke and his team study the Bible very carefully. They read it several times, hoping to find a clue about the Fountain of Youth. But despite all their efforts, they're unable to discover anything useful. Then Luke's sister decides to go over the whole case again from the very beginning. While examining the clues from the paintings once more, she suddenly realizes something important. She explains that the symbols they found inside the paintings were not ordinary clues at all. Instead, they were actually musical notations. At this point, Luke's sister's son, who happens to be a musician, helps to decode those musical symbols. By studying them carefully, he discovers that the symbols form a piece of music. This piece of music was dedicated to the 7 wonders of the world, and the 7th wonder mentioned in it was the pyramids. From this discovery, they finally realized that the legendary Fountain of Youth is hidden somewhere inside the pyramids. Without wasting any time, the whole team boards the businessman's private jet and heads towards the pyramid. During the flight, Luke once again falls asleep and begins to dream. In his dream, he comes across the mysterious golden mask. As soon as he puts the mask into his bag, he suddenly sees his sister aging rapidly before his very eyes. The terrifying sight shocks him so much that he wakes up instantly in the real world. When he wakes up, he sees his sister sitting opposite him. She tells him that she doesn't trust the businessman they're working with. She explains that the businessman deliberately sent her ex-husband to work in a distant country, even though he knew that he was the one looking after his son. Luke tries to calm her down. He tells her not to worry and explains that the businessman simply wants to save his own skin. Since the man has plenty of money, he can easily pull a few strings. Luke says they should just concentrate on completing their mission. Meanwhile, the story shifts to Esme. She meets the leader of the Protector of Path group and appears very worried. She tells him that Luke and his entire team have already arrived at the pyramids. The leader tells her that it is now very difficult to stop them, as no one had ever reached that place before. He then says that Esme already knows what she must do next. After saying this, he hands her a strange and mysterious key. Back at the pyramids, Luke begins explaining to everyone about the secret chambers that exist within the ancient structure. He describes how the pyramid was designed with concealed passages and traps. Luke's sister also gives everyone an important warning. She tells them that no matter what they find inside the pyramid, they must not remove anything from it. She explains that their father once discovered the golden mask inside the very same pyramid. That discovery could have made him incredibly famous, but he chose to leave the mask where it was. According to their father, sometimes it is more important for ancient treasures to remain in their original place rather than being removed for fame or money. Everyone agrees with Luke's sister's advice. Soon the sun rises and the team finally arrives at the pyramid. The businessman has also brought along many armed guards so they can prevent anyone from trying to follow him. Luke enters the pyramid and soon discovers the hidden chamber they've been searching for. Inside that chamber, they see a huge drum-like structure blocking the way. The drum is extremely heavy and does not budge at all. Luke suggests that they should blow it up with a bomb. However, his sister quickly stops him. She explains that the ancient Egyptians were among the greatest architects in history, and they must have designed a simple mechanism to move this drum. At that moment, her son starts carefully observing his surroundings. He notices several drums placed around the chamber, along with tall structures that look like speakers. Realizing the connection with the musical clue, he starts playing the drums. As soon as he does this, something incredible happens. The structure begins to react to the sound. Hidden mechanisms activate, and several secret staircases slowly start to emerge from the walls. At the same time, the giant drum begins to rise upwards. Seeing this, Luke's sister also plays the drum again. The magical mechanism activates once more, and the giant drum rises even higher. After that, she easily pushes the drum aside. Underneath it, they discover a chamber that functions like a lift. The businessman, Luke, and the rest of the group step inside and slowly descend deeper into the pyramid. Outside the pyramid, the situation becomes chaotic. Police officers arrive along with Esme and her entire team. They begin fighting against the businessman's armed men. Eventually, Esme's team and the police join forces and kill all of the businessman's guards. After defeating them, they decide to enter the pyramid together and search for the others. Deep inside the pyramid, Luke and his team continue moving forward. They discover another hidden passage leading further down. Eventually, they reach a place from where they can clearly see the Fountain of Youth. There's a brick mechanism placed nearby. When they press it, a new set of stairs suddenly appears. The group walks down these stairs and finally arrives at the legendary fountain. Everyone feels amazed and happy when they see it. Luke's sister turns to the businessman and says that the water of the Fountain of Youth he was searching for is right there. However, there is only a very small amount of water in the fountain. Luke's sister warns the businessman that this water could either be a great blessing or a terrible curse. She tells him that only after drinking it he'll understand which one it truly is. Hearing this makes the businessman nervous. Instead of drinking it himself, he tells Luke to drink the water first. Luke refuses and says that his job was only to guide the businessman to the Fountain of Youth. Whatever happens next is the businessman's responsibility. The businessman then reveals his true intentions. He tells Luke that he will decide how far Luke's job actually goes. At that moment, Luke's sister realizes something shocking. The businessman was never ill at all. The man admits it himself. He says that he never had any disease and simply wanted to find the Fountain of Youth. He had heard that drinking its water grants eternal life and everlasting youth. However, after hearing Luke's sister's warning, he becomes cautious. That is why he decides to force Luke to drink the water first. He threatens Luke by saying that if he refuses, he'll kill Luke's sister and her son. Under this threat, Luke slowly approaches the fountain, but just as he reaches it, a drop of blood from Luke's injured body falls into the water. He'd been shot earlier by the businessman. The moment Luke's blood touches the water, something mysterious happens. The water suddenly begins flowing rapidly. It spirals around Luke's body and lifts him into the air. Then the water gathers together and flows directly into Luke's hands. Before Luke can drink it, the water shows him a vision. In the vision, he sees that if he drinks the water, his sister and her son will slowly grow old and eventually die, while he remains young forever. Seeing his horrifying future makes Luke deeply sad. When he looks at his sister in the real world, he decides that he will never drink the water. As he refuses, the water releases a strange burst of electricity into his body. In reality, the water was testing Luke's character, and he successfully passed the test. Because of this, the water grants Luke a special power. All the injuries on his body suddenly begin healing on their own. After that, the water gently lowers him back down. Seeing this, the businessman becomes extremely excited. He asks Luke why he didn't drink the water. Luke replies that the water belongs to him, not Luke. The businessman then injures himself deliberately. When a drop of his blood falls into the fountain, the water lifts him upward just as it did with Luke. But when the water tests him, it discovers something about his heart. The businessman loves only himself more than anyone else. The magical water works in a strange way. It grants something powerful, but it also takes something precious in return. For anyone who drinks it, the price is that their loved ones will age rapidly and eventually die. Since the businessman only loves himself, the water begins to age him rapidly instead. His body starts to become old and frail. At that very moment, Esme and the police officer finally arrive at the chamber. When Esme sees that the businessman is about to drink the water, she dashes towards the fountain and inserts the mysterious key into it. The key activates a hidden mechanism that begins to seal the fountain forever. Suddenly, giant bells start ringing loudly throughout the pyramid. The entire structure begins to close itself out. Hearing the alarms, everyone starts running back towards the exit. The businessman becomes trapped near the fountain and is on the verge of dying. As Luke climbs upwards, he sees that the businessman is about to fall to his death. Despite everything the man has done, Luke risks his own life to save him. In the end, they all manage to escape from the pyramid just before it completely seals itself. Ultimately, all the entrances to the fountain are permanently closed. Luke apologizes to his sister and her son for putting their lives in danger during this perilous adventure. Esme then tells Luke that he ought to stop going on such adventures because she doesn't want to have to chase after him again. After everything that's happened, the group begins their journey back home. During the journey, Luke appears satisfied and thoughtful. He finally understands why his father never revealed such incredible discoveries to the world. Sometimes, some secrets are best left hidden. At the end, Luke's sister's son excitedly asks him if he'd like to go on one last adventure. Upon hearing this, Luke smiles and becomes excited once more, suggesting that their adventures might not be over just yet.